Today I will be covering every amp and what they do, some synergies between two or more of the amps, and lastly, what I would do to fix some of these amps. If there are any synergies I might have missed, feel free to share, and for the solutions I offer to some of these amps, those are just suggestions, so don't come raiding me with pitchforks. Please.
Max, look! Those idiots don't even know where we live!
To begin, I'm looking at slippers. You can walk on broken glass without making any noise. As long as you're walking, slippers will work 100% of the time. Even when crouching, it will make zero noise, besides the noise of walking. However, if you sprint, it will make the same amount of noise as if you didn't have slippers on. But right now, controller players have a bug where we can't untoggle the run. But as soon as that gets fixed, I can see slippers actually being very useful. And on a tier list, I would have to place it at an A. Cacophony. Bricks and bottles are noisier, making them better distractions for enemies. Usually without cacophony, a brick will make barely any noise, whereas a bottle will. But with cacophony equipped, you can distract enemies with bricks. And with bottles, they have a lot bigger range. So without cacophony, the enemy would not have heard that bottle. The fact that bricks don't get used up at all when using this amp means that a brick is technically an unbreakable bottle. But with how much noise we make in this game, I wouldn't rate it too highly. If it was in co-op, I would probably have it even lower, but as I'm mainly a solo player and it has its users, I would put it around a B. Noise reduction. Reduce sound from running and door openings. So without noise reduction first, when I'm walking you can see I have 1 bar of volume that I'm producing. And when I run, I produce 2 bars of volume. And when it comes to opening doors, I produce 2 bars of volume. This only applies to opening the door. If the door is locked, you can see I make 3 bars of volume. So with noise reduction, when I'm running, it will only produce 1 bar of volume, which is the same as walking. This does not make walking silent though. Same with opening doors, it will produce just the 1 bar of noise. But when it comes to having locked doors, noise reduction has no impact on reducing the noise. Now, I know you're going to be doing a lot of running, so noise reduction is good for that, but when it comes to opening doors, a lot of doors are either locked or they are like barricaded off. And again, with the glitch of being able to untoggle the run, I find noise reduction's running ability to be stronger. The fact that noise reduction is like a passive amp, you don't need to do anything to trigger it. It is always on. It is not as strong as I once thought, especially not as strong as it used to be. So I'm going to give it an A. Battery charger. The night vision battery gradually recharges when not in use. The way this amp works is, as soon as you turn off your night vision goggles, it will slowly start recharging the night vision battery. You will know it's active if you see on the right side. Now, from a very quick inaccurate test, it takes roughly around 15 seconds to recharge 1 bar for your night vision goggles. To say how frequent batteries can be found around in the trials, I would give this amp a C. Because door traps will always have a small battery when you disarm them. Lock breaker. Use bricks to smash open padlocked containers and doors. With bricks being fairly easy to find, and with the new change to locked boxes which will always guarantee a large battery and a rig recharger if it's a blue box, with the medical bottles always guaranteeing a large bottle and a bandage, and the fact that if you're ever in the chase, you can always just instantly break down a locked door. You don't need to proceed to go into an animation. With all of these perks from the lock breaker, how can you not put it in the S tier? Recycle. Used health bottles will become throwable items. The way this amp works is every time you drink a small medicine, it'll give you a bottle. However, bottles suck. Large medicine bottles will also give you bottles. But besides the tasks that require you to throw projectiles, this amp can go in the DEF lowest tier. Keymaster. Lockpicking guarantees success on the first try, and each lockpick has 2 uses. So, without Keymaster, when you go to unlock any container, you'll get put into a little mini game, where you have to pick at the green. If you do in the blank spaces, you take no damage. If you do in red, you take damage. So you want to make sure you successfully complete the mini game. Now, if you run out of time doing your mini game, you will get psychosis. This potentially might be 2 bars in psychosurgery. Now with the Keymaster equipped, you get put into the mini game. However, you have to only get the green once to unlock the container. You have 2 uses of it, but the bad thing about it is you get put into an animation. So I'm going to have to give it a C. Scratch that, a D, because you have to do a mini game still? Backpack. Expand your inventory by 1 slot. You get an extra inventory slot if you have the tier 2 prescription. I don't have the amp equipped, but I do have the prescription, meaning I do have 4 backpack slots. With the amp on, as you can see, I have 5 backpack slots, which seems very overkill, as ideally you only need 3. On psychosurgery, it will take you down to 4. The main use for it I can see is using it on escalation, where you can get limited inventory modifiers, which for each tier the modifier is will reduce 1 extra inventory space. But this amp is mainly for convenience, so I'm going to put it in the C tier, as it just isn't that good. The last of the 2 lamps is short circuit. Using a battery also restores some of the rig's cooldown. Okay, so the way short circuit works is, as soon as you've used your rig will be on a cooldown. You can use the batteries to make that cooldown a lot shorter. The batteries work by percentage. You have to make sure your night vision goggles are on, if in case your battery is full. With small batteries barely giving a cooldown decrease, large batteries will give you a bigger cooldown decrease, to the point where 3 large batteries will recharge your rig. And I don't have a battery booster with me, but if you have the battery booster found in the secret rooms, or using the boosted amp, it will fully recharge the cooldown. The way the rig is, just on its own, I would give it a B. As on co-op, if you have multiple people using this, you're gonna be milking that trial dry of batteries. So this is my final ranking and a tier list for all of the tool lamps. Entering the skill amps, hide and breathe. Enter a hiding spot to instantly recover from stamina exhaustion and receive an adrenaline boost. Brief cooldown period before reuse. Okay, so the way this amp works is, whenever you're ready, go into a hiding spot and leave immediately. You will have 10 seconds of an adrenaline boost, which means you don't waste any stamina at all, and you get a slight movement speed. And as soon as I hit, it replenished my stamina immediately. And the cooldown for this amp seems to be roughly around 80 seconds. So I wouldn't call it exactly too brief, but I've not used this amp much, and this is like my first time actually knowing how it works. But I mean, you could just take an adrenaline stick and this amp becomes useless. So for that reason, I'm putting it in the lowest tier. Hide and heal. Enter a hide spot to restore 1 bracket of health instantly. And health regeneration begins immediately. In tier 1 prescriptions, having regeneration is a must to make this amp work better. So, the way hide and restore works is, the very first time you use a hiding spot to use the amp, it will give you 1 health bar immediately, and it will immediately start the regeneration prescription. Well, it should have. I'm guessing due to the fact that I was regenerating health just before going into the hiding spot, it didn't work, but you usually get the health bar and it also regens your health for another bar. Okay, so there isn't exactly a cooldown to this amp, but the way it works is every time you've healed the first bracket and you've gotten your regeneration, you must have taken some damage in order to trigger the amp again. But this time, it will only immediately activate your regeneration. That 1 health bracket you healed immediately, that was only for the first time use. Every other time, you will need to take damage in order to refresh the amp just to be able to heal 1 bracket back. Or in a lot of cases, finish off the bar that had, you know, received the damage. The way this amp works, I mean, it's a little confusing and it's very mediocre. So I'm going to put it in the high C tier. I know a lot of people love this amp, but it does nothing crazy. Maybe if there was a cooldown to it healing 1 health bracket every time, but the fact it doesn't, just, it's kind of dookie. Hide and restore. Enter a hide spot to restore rig cooldown 50% faster. So the way hide and restore works is as soon as you're on a cooldown, every time you go in the hiding spot, the cooldown will be cut in half. But as soon as you go back out, the cooldown will go to double of whatever it was last while you was hiding. It's only okay on any difficulty below psychosurgery, but on psychosurgery where the cooldowns for some of the rigs is like few minutes long, you're not going to be hiding for that long most of the time. So for that reason, I'm going to put it is definitely a C. Quick escape. After taking damage, temporarily increase your speed. Now, the way this quick escape amp works is, as soon as you get hit by an X-pop, it can't be a trap or the psychosis, but as soon as you get hit, you get an adrenaline boost for 10 seconds. It does seem a bit faster than adrenaline boost, but I can't give you the specific numbers. And the cooldown for it is every 28 seconds. I mean, a speed boost is always a nice thing. And the fact that the cooldown on it is actually very short, 28 seconds is pretty much nothing within a trial. But I don't see why you wouldn't just use an adrenaline stick. And the fact that it requires you to get hit by an X-pop, you can't even cheese it with like an electric floor trap, nothing. So that's why I'm going to give this amp a B tier. Invisible. Enemies can't find you in a hiding spot even if you peek. So the way invisible works is, any hiding spot you enter, you can either press your left or right peek buttons and enemies won't see you. Okay, fine then. As the enemy is close to me in a chase, invisible will not save you. Okay, so I'm gonna try to have a bit more distance. So I'm gonna stun the enemy right there, right? I mean, he kind of has a line of sight on this hiding spot. But as he's got some distance, surely invisible saves us. Okay, so if they are quite far away from you, invisible will save you. There is a certain range in which invisible will not save you from the enemy, if that makes any sense. So pretty much, in a lot of situations, using invisible and hiding while in a chase is not very reliable. Because depending on how far away the enemy is from you, will determine if they grab you or they ignore you. So, I'm going to rate invisible as goddamn bomb off the barrel. I'm sorry, but some of these hiding spots, you don't even need to, like, you know, peek out of. Besides these bins, a lot of hiding spots actually have, like, way to see through. Door trap breaker. Door traps shatter when doors are opened normally. If opened slowly, the trap disarms instead. So without door trap breaker, you can open the door slowly, but the battery will not be disarmed, so you'll have to disarm it manually. Alternatively, if you crouch and open the door, you will dodge the trap completely. So now with door breaker on, if you slowly open the door, it immediately disarms the door trap, so you can actually pick up the battery. And if you proceed to open doors while standing, the door trap will not hit you. Whereas if you had it off, it would hit you, which is why I showcased that you can dodge it while crouching. So the fact that you can dodge these traps without ever needing door trap breaker, and you can still disarm the door trap for the battery if you open the door slowly, kind of makes this amp just for the sake of convenience. So I'm gonna have it in C, and that is only because you can just run through it while in a chase, but you can always just crouch last second, open the door and keep running. So it's actually like bottom of C, almost the worst tier. Smash. Break doors and planks with a single strike, including bashing co-op doors solo. If you're not using Smash and have the prescription door basher, here is how it goes. If you don't have that prescription, it will take you 3 hits to break down the door. But without Smash and that prescription, it will take you 2. So with the Smash amp, even if you don't have the prescription in escalation, you can one hit through locked doors. This includes the barricades as well. Smash also lets you break down any co-op door all by yourself, which can save you a lot of time, especially on solo. And in co-op, if your team is not exactly with you. You know, it saves a lot of time because there's so many doors, a lot of co-op doors. Okay. The only place I can really put Smash at, I would say, is S tier. It's just so neat to be able to smash through everything in one hit. It just makes you feel fluid around the map. Strong arm. Bricks and bottles pack a stronger punch when thrown at enemies, but the brick will shatter immediately. The way strong arm works is it makes all your projectiles stalled enemies for a bit longer than usual, which I could talk a lot about, like all the different interactions with each enemy, but I'm only just going to showcase the grunt. So with a bottle, you know, you've tossed him onto the floor as if it is a brick without the strong arm equipped. While with strong arm with the brick, it will fully use up the brick, which usually has 2 like uses. And you know, it'll stun the gun for quite a few seconds. This is useful specifically against witnesses. And this amp I only ever pull out if I know I'm going to be playing against some witnesses. Because you can actually end up popping the witnesses a lot quicker. But other than that, I don't really see myself using this amp. But it is quite useful, so I'm going to place it in the A tier. So for the final skill amp, evasive maneuver. Escape enemy grasp instantly and reduce incoming damage. Brief cooldown period before reuse. So the way evasive maneuver works is, against a lot of enemies who have grabbing attacks, you can either completely avoid damage or receive a lot less damage than you would without this amp. The cooldown is every 100 seconds. And 2 key enemies that this amp is very good against is the pusher. Whenever it comes, you can avoid getting sprayed. The duration varies on the enemy type. I have a full video on it. And my favourite use with this amp is against pouncers. If they grab you, they just randomly, you know, get flung to the side and run away, and you take no damage. The cooldown is 100 seconds, so you're not going to be using it too often, but for the times that you do activate the amp, it feels very useful, specifically on psychosurgery, where the damage that the enemies can do is very high. That's the main time I would switch to using evasive maneuver, as you can also always proc a grab attack by just hiding. It isn't RNG based where sometimes enemies might go for a grab attack and other times they'll just swing at you. So it is going into the A tier. So this is my final tier list of all of the skill amps. Medicine amps. Double doses. Syringes can be used twice. Respawn pills grant 2 revives. So, anywhere throughout the trial where you see one of these emergency boxes, if you're in solo you'll see respawn pills, in co-op you'll see syringes. All this amp does is, every time you pop your pills, it'll grant your revives by 2. This is mainly useful for those who are very new to the game, who are, you know, trying to explore the map, who are very likely going to die a lot. And in co-op, it's best used if you have a team that is also, you know, just new. This is mainly for new players. So for us experienced players who are okay at the game or better, I would have the at C tier. But I can understand the new players having it like higher up on a tier list. But the reason it is at C is because obviously it has its use, but dying really hurts your grade, and you don't want to be relying on respawn pills. Let's be real. Antitoxin. Regain full sanity after some time, and psychosis will last half as long. So with antitoxin, the psychosis only lasts 15 seconds, whereas without it, it will last 30 seconds. And to say that psychosis is a lot harder now, as the enemies will target you and there is tentacles that will damage you, this amp isn't actually too bad to have, because on harder difficulties it won't exactly tell you where the antidotes are. And you know, in 15 seconds you most likely won't run out of stamina, resulting in you surviving psychosis without taking damage. That felt even short of 15 seconds. But yeah, I'm gonna put this at an A. Low A, high B. Surplus. Start trials with a random item in your inventory. Medicine, antidote, bottle, or brick. I got a bandage? I thought you could only get medical items like small medicine bottles. But still, this amp is trash. F tier. And the reason I say this is because if you play on regular trials, I've already found an antidote, a brick, I could probably find a bottle very easily, and then medical items, you know, I can eventually run into. The only time you could argue to say that this amp is useful is in escalation, you know, when there is no items in trial. But the thing is, while you're in a shuttle where you can change your amps, you won't know if it is no items in trial. So, that makes this amp absolutely useless. Last chance. The last enemy strike reduces your health to 1 HP instead of causing death. Once every 5 minutes. I absolutely adore last chance. So what it does is, if you ever, you know, lose all of your health bar, which I didn't right there, because dog bombs seem very inconsistent at dealing damage. But as soon as you take lethal damage, last chance procs. And while the last chance is on your screen on the far right, you are like immortal for a few seconds. And it seems to be around maybe 6 to 7 seconds. Which, you know, any enemy, Skinnerman, the tentacles, Gooseberry's bleeding damage, and then of course it'll take 5 minutes to recharge the last chance ability, which, you know, last chance prevents you from dying, which means your grade will always be saved, because deaths will contribute a large part to your rank grade, whereas, you know, just taking damage can be recoverable. Incognito. Your crouched walking speed is enhanced. The way this amp works is, so the exact same speed that you do while walking, which makes 1 bar of noise, applies to your crouching speed. But when you're crouched, it makes absolutely no sound. This is great for sneaking by enemies, you know, walking through the dark, crouching right next to enemies even. So, you know, this can also be used for clutch plays. Like, you know, this is a very handy amp to have, and it's always active. You know, there's no cooldowns to it or anything. You don't have to do anything special for it to be on. It's like a passive amp to have, which is why I'm gonna have it in the A tier. Good job. Finishing an assignment will replenish a portion of your health. Brief cooldown period before reuse. The way this amp works is top left you can see your assignment, secondary objective as well, which does in fact count with this amp. You'll get 1 health bar every time you complete a said assignment. So as soon as I infiltrated, I got 1 health bar. For some reason apparently there's a cooldown to it, and I really can't be bothered to find a cooldown for this goddamn amp. Like this amp seems mainly for the people who are exploring, you know, trials for the first time. But yeah, the cooldown was long enough for me to not get another health bar by pressing a button after infiltrating the police station. So, to say how stinky this amp can be, especially on some of the MKs where you'll barely get any use out of it, I'm going to say that it is a C. I might even put it, you know what, F. This amp is awful. It's not even good in escalation. You're better off with self-revival last chance. Like, look, there's a medicine bottle. It makes this amp useless. Boosted. Start trials with a random booster in your inventory. Health, stamina, or battery booster. So as soon as you start your trial, you'll get given a random booster between stamina booster, health booster, and battery booster. It's a 33% chance, I assume, to get any of the boosters. I think it is a very good amp due to the fact that if you find a secret room, you only get 1 of each booster. You can't stack these boosters, but in co-op it has the most usefulness. And a stamina booster is always, you know, it's great having 2 stamina bars pretty much. And with the battery booster, your battery lasts for twice as long, and with health booster you get an extra health bar, which is probably the weakest one. Besides against bleeding, that's when the health booster can be more useful than the battery booster. But due to the stamina booster and the fact that you get it start of the trial rather than needing to go find a secret room, I'll give it to an A. Maybe on the lower end of A because it is a random chance to get the specific booster you want. Self-revive. Resurrect after death once per trial. Now in regular trials, in solo this is useless because you have respawn pills. In co-op it has some uses if you know that your team won't be able to get you, or you know, you can just play like a meat shield which will kill your grade. But this is mainly used in escalation. That's where I see people rave about it the most. Don't really need to show you the footage for it, but I'm gonna have to say it is like a B. It has its use in escalation, in co-op specifically, but it's not too great, but it's not bad. Bandage Expert. Bandages are faster to apply and can be used twice. So without Bandage Expert, it takes around 5 seconds to use a bandage and you only get 1 bandage. Whereas with Bandage Expert, it takes around 2.5 seconds to pop a full bandage. And on top of that, you get another bandage usage. and it looks like a tissue in the bottom right. And because of it looking like a tissue, I'm going to give it a B. Bandages are mainly used against gooseberry maps because she causes bleeding, and with a bandage you can save yourself all of the bleed damage, and on top of that still get 2 health bars. So it kind of counts as gooseberry attacks if you can pull off a bandage immediately after getting hit by her, which can be a bit tricky. This is my official tier list for the medicine amps. Starting with my go-to loadout would be the stun rig. That is because with Lockbreaker, if you go after every single blue box, you can get a rig recharger, so you can keep spamming your stun rigs. Smash, because you know you can just flow through the map very quickly and nicely, smoothly. And then Last Chance as a backup. If I ever, you know, make too risky plays, I can kind of get away with it if I run Last Chance. And the fact that it's every 5 minutes, usually with the longer trials, you're going to be in them for like up to 10, around 20 minutes. So that means you get to use your Last Chance at least 4 times, which is great value. I would switch out Smash for Strong Arm if I am on any map that contains witnesses. Only witnesses. Now for some synergies, Short Circuit combined with Hide and Restore. I've made a YouTube short on it, and 2 large batteries with this combo while you're hiding will just give you all of your cooldown back. Maybe even a large battery and a small battery while hiding should do you some good. I would consider this like a task synergy. Recycle, so you can, you know, get projectiles easily from medicine bottles. Also, if the task just, you know, requires you to take damage. Then door trap breaker, like right now, one of the weaknesses is to disarm 15 door traps, which is, you know, kind of ridiculous. So you can kind of just smooth brain that task by just using door trap breaker. Ignoring the rig, I would consider this to be like your complete stealth build. Noise reduction, invisible and incognito. All of these help with either hiding, making as little noise as possible, and just making your crouch, which is silent, you know, move a bit quicker. Now, if you love your projectiles, you can go with cacophony, you know, have your bricks act like bottles, and on top of that, you can use your bricks to stun any enemy. Well, mainly the weaker enemies. What I find annoying is all of the hide perks, or I can't mean amps, they're all in one category. So you can't even like combine some of these. Imagine combining like invisible and like hide and heal. You know, like, I mean, to be fair, it doesn't seem that strong, but like, there's just not many amps you can really like combine that will complement each other really. So I kind of just gave out loadouts. I thought it was a good idea at first to try, you know, give some synergies, but there isn't even that many, to be fair. Okay, hear me out. These are just, you know, me using my imagination of how the amps could work a bit differently or maybe be improved upon. But have slippers, you know, not trigger the babies and the tin cans. Like, I don't know, maybe have it so every time you walk through them, you can like, you know, kind of walk underneath them, kind of like doing a limbo, or like just crouching underneath it without actually crouching. I was gonna say for cacophony, maybe make it so bottles work the same like bricks. In the sense like, you know, a bottle would be able to stun an enemy as if it was a brick. Or maybe like make the bottles have like a screamer effect but against the Xbox. So the Xbox kind of gets stunned as like, you know, if you throw it right next to them. Just a thought. With noise reduction, the door openings really doesn't do much. You can slowly open doors, and a lot of the time the doors will be locked, so you're going to use Smash, which will make 3 bars of noise. So instead of maybe doors openings being like silenced a bit. How about jumping? So this is like, you know, a purely movement-based amp. With battery charger, I was thinking if you have full night vision battery and you're not using, you know, night vision, have it speed up the recharge process of your rig if it's in cooldown. Maybe by double, maybe a bit weaker. Just a thought. Honestly, I'm happy with Lockbreaker. Maybe have bottles be able to open locked containers and stuff. As you know, it would only be like one usage, whereas bricks have two. Recycle. Maybe have like large medicine bottles, you know. Let's say you have 2 bars of health and you need 2 bars. Have it fill you up with the 2 bars and then the bottle still has like 2 health bars. Or maybe have the bottles that get recycled be just better in some way. Because I mean, they are still like the shape of the medicine bottles rather than your regular glass bottles. So maybe they could stun enemies for longer, maybe make more noise. For Keymaster, maybe get rid of the minigame. I'm pretty sure at some point in time, you didn't have to do a minigame at all for Keymaster. It was like a full green circle that you just, you know, plug in the lockpick into. Or maybe that's just a master key. But Keymaster, it definitely would need some tweaking. For Backpack, I had the idea of, instead of adding 1 slot to your inventory, what if you could hold 2 items per inventory slot? But it would have to be like the same item. So like, you can have 2 hearts in 1 slot, or 2 small batteries in 1 slot. But you couldn't combine like a small battery and large battery in 1 slot. That's a thought I had for Backpack to make it like, you know, more tasty. Short circuit, I mean, maybe a little buff to small batteries, but combined with hide and restore, I think it's, you know, alright, I wouldn't touch it too much. Now, hide and breathe, enter a hiding spot to instantly recover stamina. Like, maybe cooldown being 60 seconds or something. And like, maybe you could add like a special ability to this amp, where you can hide anywhere at 2 times speed. You know, just to give it some more usefulness, because the adrenaline boost you get from it, and it's not the best. I feel like it could, you know, improve it by having a faster way to hide, I guess. Like I said, for hide and heal, maybe have a cooldown for when it heals 1 bar instantly, rather than it restores 1 bracket of health each trial. Like, that seems a bit crazy. Same with health regeneration begins immediately. Why is it tied to when you take damage? Why can't it be tied to like a cooldown alongside a 1 health bar bracket? Honestly, I have no idea what could be done to hide and restore. It's just, you know, do you really want to be spending hours in a trial just to get your rig back? Not for me, thanks. For quick escape, I was thinking maybe the fact that, you know, after taking damage it increases your movement speed, but like, you kind of miss out a bit on it because of the flinch. You know, when you get flung to the ground or like to the side where you like stumble on yourself. Maybe make it so you don't get stumbled with this amp on. And like, you know, if you drop from like a height, you kind of just can instantly go running. Like, you don't have to like wait for an animation for like a second or 2. For invisible, I couldn't really think of anything, but maybe what if, as you're about to go into a locker, like you throw down a smoke bomb. So like, if enemies are like, you know, right next to you, like, of course they will see you go into the locker and they will pull you out and have it be on a cooldown. But like, if they're from a far away, like if they're outside of the smoke, you'll be perfectly fine with the smoke bomb. That's my kind of thinking with invisible. Door trap breaker seems kind of useless because you can avoid the door traps without ever needing this amp. So maybe have this amp be a way to like destroy traps. I don't know. Be able to like cut the tin cans down, shovel up glass. I don't even know what you can do to this amp. This amp just stinks the more I look at it. Smash is perfectly fine. Strong arm, even though I didn't put it as an S, it's perfectly fine. Evasive maneuver. I mean, people have said about it, you know, wanting it to be more interactive, which I can understand. But it isn't too bad either. For the medicines, good job. I feel like if you pick up one poster, it should, you know, regen your health. I don't think the cooldown should exist at all to say how niche this amp is. Especially that a lot of MKs, you know, it's going to be useless in. So just remove cooldown and have each second objective, like, you know, give you a health bar. Which would be very nice in, like, let's say, finding 10 rats. That's like 10 whole health bars if you need. Then with surplus, I was thinking, instead of be tied to these items, what if you could randomly get any item in the game? Like you could randomly spawn here with a master key, rig recharger, you know, you name it. Maybe even a boosted item, which would kind of, you know, make boosted a bit useless if you could do that. But I don't know, just a thought. But hey, these are just like random ideas, me just, you know, using my imagination to just make up stuff that probably doesn't even need changing, doesn't need touching. But I don't know, when I kinda was thinking about it, I thought it was a bit cool. And I wanted to hear your guys' opinion on it. Maybe you have some cool ideas of your own. But yeah. I hope this video has helped you guys pick out your own loadouts. You know, try different amps out. And I hope everyone's had a good New Year's Eve. You know, it's 2025. I'm going to be locked in, but I'm not going to be locked in to the point where I'm doing daily uploads. I don't have it in me, you know, using up every single minute of my free time to just work on these videos. Even though it wasn't like that for all of the videos. But like today, I woke up around 7, and now it's almost like 9 PM, well half past 9, and I've just been working on this one video with like mini breaks throughout the day. And this is all my day off. Like, it's ridiculous. So do not expect daily uploads from me, please. And with the fact that there's 3 months of like no updates, this should mean that none of these amps really get changed, so this video should be valid for quite a while. And on top of that, I don't think I'll have enough Outlast child content to upload daily for 3 months, so yeah. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed.